All right. Are we going? Oh, all right. We are live. We've been trying to set up a few things here on the speaker and the volume and all that kind of stuff because we've got Mike Burkhold coming on at 11:45. So in 30 minutes, we'll be bringing Mike on. He lives on Sullivan's Island. So he's out of Charleston. And this, I think it will be a good way to get some of these folks. We can interview and talk to them, ask them questions, hear about their races, statewide races and stuff like that without burdening them with coming and driving all the way up here. Some people have no problem telling a statewide, like, somebody running for a statewide office, oh, you got to come up here and talk to 20 people. I really don't want to bother people like that. I mean, yes, if we have a big meeting, we got a couple hundred people or something, that makes sense. But I think we can meet and talk to a lot of these candidates across the state this way and share it with our folks, around, here in Greenville County. And we'll do some bigger things because I think we're going to do some joint kind of Q&As or forums with Spartanburg County and some things like that. But that's I just want us to start hearing from folks that are running for office, especially some of these guys. This position is for comptroller. Does anybody know what the comptroller does? I mean, yes, some of us are geeky accountants know what it is, but I mean, he's the guy that does the financial reporting. So that's what that position does. The former comptroller resigned as part of this whole big kerfuffle that they tried to blame on Curtis Loftus, which we can talk about that later. But our governor appointed a comptroller to finish out the term, and that individual is a Democrat. So why in the world did our Republican governor appoint a Democrat to be the comptroller, other than, I guess, that's somebody. I guess that's just somebody they can control.
Rhino, maybe?
So, maybe it's just filling the position. I don't even know if that guy's running. We'll ask Mike if the current comptroller is planning on running. It would be interesting if he was going to run and then run as a Republican, because, I mean, it's pretty well known out there in the community that he is a Democrat. But Mike may know a little bit more about that and kind of share. But this is the person, that position is the one that writes all the checks, does all the financial reporting. And if you truly want to know transparency on what's going on down in Columbia, this is the position to be able to provide that. He is fighting that, or he's campaigning, and as I've told him in the past, none of the legislators want us to all know the finances out there.
Of course they don't.
They want to bury it. They want it to be hidden. The story I was always told one time years ago that the chairman of Ways and Means apparently hid a fire truck in the budget somewhere and dared people to find it. I mean, it's a $1 million fire truck, and apparently nobody could find it in the budget, but it was in there somewhere, and that was the whole point. If they want to, they can hide things. Yeah. So, but we're looking forward, and with what I think AI can, cull through some of these things. And the budget, I think when we get into the budget later in the spring, and when they're doing that on the House and the Senate side, I think that's going to be kind of interesting for us to take some of what Scott's been doing, with the AI and what he's he's all excited, what he's been doing on the legislative stuff to actually get into the budget, see what actual documents and everything we can kind of get through there and figure that out. So, everything is about transparency, and Mike Burkhold is talking transparency. I don't know if anybody else is running for the position right now, certainly not on the Republican side. And as I said, I don't know about the current, the person that's in that position, but I don't think we're going to be supporting the current person unless we learn something completely new to the situation.
Isn't it a Democrat friendly?
Yeah, that's
we just
literally just talked about it. See, this is my home life. We talk about that every week. Y'all are well aware.
Share the feed so everyone can watch it.
Yes, that's true. She does have a job. A very well paid job too.
Yeah, I need a raise.
Chief of staff.
Yes, I know. It's what I do to Olga and I do to Terry sometimes. I threaten to fire them and they're like, please, yeah, please fire me, let me out. Yeah, can I go
She
now?
does a good
I'd rather
job.
be watching a soap opera at home, but Mike will be on at 11:45. So we're gonna go from there. What's going on this week? The big thing I think that we've been focusing on is the runoff in Simpsonville. It's been quite interesting. Obviously, Jerry Tussaud is running, and we have his opponent, which is the incumbent down there. And I think he's been there 12 or 16 or 12 years, something like that. But he has gotten very nasty. He's got the other side, not Jerry, has gotten very nasty and attacking and then all that kind of stuff. It's been shocking to me to see the opponent writing my name in his things, like, you know, we're pulling the strings and all that stuff. Jerry went through our process with the candidate recruitment committee and then the board, and obviously we've known Jerry for a long time, and he's been very participatory and helpful in what we've been doing with the Greenville GOP. The other individual has not, and as you can tell, it's been quite interesting to watch, you know, the fangs come out. So I think the incumbency, the establishment down there is rather upset about it, because if we are able to get Jerry elected, which I do think we will be, that will give us a majority, conservative majority on Simpsonville City Council.
Yay.
So that's what I've heard. A lot of problems going on down there. I think they just lost their city administrator because they went and sold the city hall
Wow.
without, you know, authority. Apparently you have to have authority from the city council to be able to do that. Apparently they did it without authority from city council, and then they went and backdated some documents and you know, they passed an ordinance that went back, you know, and allowed it. And, you know, there's been a whole slew of debate about it. And it's been quite interesting to see all the Democrats attacking us, you know, for supporting Jerry. So I'm like, you know, it is a nonpartisan race,
That
but
might be a good thing.
but everything is partisan. You know, I mean, our school boards are technically nonpartisan. One of the things we support is for the state to start making school board elections partisan, because, you know, what we found out is a lot of people say one thing when they're campaigning and they do something substantially different when they're elected. And I don't think some of these people will sign up as Republicans and run, but some of them, you know, we are so repulsive to them that they're not even willing to do it, but they are more than happy to run in a nonpartisan race and say the things that we like to hear. And then when they get elected, they do something completely different. So I guess we're good on the volume. Is Glenn, it's okay this? All right, fantastic. Okay.
I'm not sure if Glenn is watching. I haven't heard from him about Craig's and Terry. So
Okay.
I don't know where Glenn
Well,
is.
we gave Glenn a day off earlier this week, so
Still enjoying it.
he's probably still
That's
enjoying
right.
the day off.
Show
So-
up.
All right. So that's the big thing that we've been working on. We did have, and we can talk about the pro-life committee update. I thought that was, yes, ma'am. Do you have something?
What about a report from Fountain Inn and the
What happened
runoff there?
Do y'all want to talk about the runoff in Fountain Inn?
Is AJ
Dairyberry.
yes, and Garrett.
Okay.
And the newspaper, the Sentinel,
Yes.
Yeah,
they printed the wrong information, that they didn't say that she was in the runoff.
It's very
because-
easy to do. Unfortunately, it did get printed on quick because Fountain Inn is technically in
It did include
Greenville
Lawrence.
and in Lawrence
But-
County.
When I found out last night at the city council meeting that AJ told him that person that runs the paper is trying to make amends. He fixed
How?
his digital one, you know, online.
Online,
And
yes.
he's trying to put some things out to say, hey, yeah, I made a mistake. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's trying. And I got the city hall and the activity center to put online, well, on their signs, that the runoff is Tuesday.
Okay.
Didn't think they would do it, but they did it. And we're doing our best to go around and update her signs like y'all did, because I thought it was a great idea. And she's giving me a couple places to go knock on doors and
Okay.
get cards.
And y'all are supporting AJ.
AJ.
Okay. Okay.
One other thing, that I mentioned on the word, I don't
WRD.
listen to
Word
it,
radio.
but I wonder if, what's the man name? Farady?
Bill Frady,
Who,
correct?
whether or not he could be approached to see whether he could have both these candidates interviewed on Monday. Would that be worth anything, Jerry?
Sure it would.
Sure it would, right? Okay, so I'll see what I can do. I don't know these people. I don't listen to the radio. I don't have a TV.
Yeah.
The candidate has.
Often,
I think
and it's what Mike Kilgore did. He actually just called in to Charlie
So the
James.
candidate
Did you
has
do
to
The
that?
call.
candidate calls in and
So
then,
Jerry
yeah,
don't have to call.
and let them know. And I think what Mike did, which was just, hey, we just want turnout. I'm just letting
Oh, so you don't-
reminding everybody to know, because I mean,
Is that
there's
one of
there's
your
literally
girls?
just 2 races that are
One of
going
my
on.
girls.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
there's,
Unfortunately, the wrong people turned out.
yes. I didn't realize so many Democrats listened to the WRD.
I
So
have to leave and meet with my girls, okay? I got a great team.
y'all are doing sign waving.
Women, and one of them
Woohoo!
has already talked to me about getting with Bill Frady.
Oh,
So
yeah?
we're gonna
Okay.
pursue
One
that.
of your women out in Simpsonville. You
Well,
one of our
we're gonna run after it. We'll let you know what happens.
good.
He's
good,
gonna
good.
approach
I have
it.
to tell everybody, buddy, thank you so much
You're
for the help and
Go and win it.
everything you've done.
Yeah.
for me.
Thank you
There's
for
no
being
way I
willing
could
to
have done
run.
Thank you,
And
Jerry.
this is
it.
gonna
God
be
bless
exciting.
you all. Thank you.
So if you know anybody in Simpsonville,
All
and we'll
right.
put out some emails
Bless you.
and stuff, but you need to call them. Jerry's been endorsed by our candidate recruitment committee and then by the full board and whatnot. And it's been a long time coming. So it's going to be exciting and we'll keep pushing for Tuesday. We need everybody to come out to vote.
We got a winner. We got a winner going.
I see some, yeah.
But
I do know Austin and Bobby got out and voted. So I actually got the list of everybody that voted. And I got one friend that did not vote. So I got to text him up. And he lives in your precinct. So
I've got 4 neighbors that I'm comfortable with to go knock on the door and say, I'll drive Tuesday, let's go. And
Yeah, okay.
I got 2 of my kids that,
Live in the city?
yeah, well, they changed their address when they moved out. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And then, so it's really too late for them, but my oldest daughter and her husband was.
Okay.
So
Good.
if you
They're
tell us
voting
you
for you.
voted,
Yeah.
but you haven't, just don't do that because we will
They
see.
know.
And it is about individual follow-up. Nothing's, I mean, you can mail something or text somebody or call them even, but when a neighbor comes and talks to another neighbor, that makes a big deal. When a family member talks to another family member, that makes a big deal. So, that's what we got to get out. And, I mean, it's these things get contentious sometimes in their battles, or whatnot, but, the incumbent could have worked with us in the past, but I mean, the incumbent was literally the person. It was his vote that killed the impact fees in Simpsonville. And we can debate whether impact fees are right or wrong. I certainly support them, especially in this uncontrolled growth that we're having. We're fighting the growth. I mean, I've even, Gary Collins has even called for, he kind of gets out there and he pokes the bear, but he, kind of called for a moratorium. I mean, you want to scare some
Yeah, why
people, you want
not?
to scare some
Yeah.
developers, start talking about a moratorium.
Yes.
And get the developers to come to the table and quit just building and cramming in there. Somebody told me the other day they were getting an approval to put a building complex that actually got up to 5 feet away from the edge of the property. I mean, 5 feet. I mean, it's getting
What makes
out.
me mad is they're spending millions of dollars to build these ugly things.
Yeah.
Even though there was 5 million was privately, that they took hospitality money that everybody has to
Yeah,
pay
city-
when they go into
city of
Greenville.
Greenville.
down
Yes.
Really?
And
Yeah.
buying the, if they've got money left over, lower the tax.
Well, and what you're talking about is that big tower.
What the
And
heck was that?
It's red, white, and blue for now.
yes,
Oh my gosh,
yes,
that
yeah.
was,
yeah,
Always.
and they rolled it out. They rolled it out on Veterans Day on the 11th, of course, right? Because we're all patriotic, and it's red, white, and
And
blue.
you know the colors are adjustable, that's how they build
Exactly. And my question and then Austin's question
It'll be rainbow.
was how fast is it going to be raining?
Already is. Probably NGO money.
Right.
I want to know if there's speakers on it.
Oh,
You know there would be.
I mean, $11 million. I mean, I'm sure there's something.
No, I mean-
Or a 10-2 radio station or something.
Yeah.
I bet you there's something.
No, not that I want them.
But we still need money to fix all that.
Right. So they spent $11 million. 5.5 million was tax dollars. 5.5 million was donations. Alleged. But I'm sure there was some deal cut even for those donations and all that kind of stuff. Yes, Ron.
Getting back on impact fees, I was just at the city council meeting in Fountain, and as y'all know, they passed the impact fee back at the beginning of the year. They've already.
So they did pass an impact fee and found it. Good. Okay, good.
They, so far, just for the recreation, which is one of the three categories you can spend it on, they've already collected $161,000.
Just for that.
Wow.
And they're just getting started on the police side and the fire side.
Okay.
So it does make an impact.
Sorry.
Oh, I mean, it was funny. It was somebody that was a former council member down in Simpsonville was arguing, you know, he's obviously pro the incumbent and was arguing that impact fees were bad. And I'm like, why are impact fees bad? Oh, because if you have an impact fee, the developers just add it to the price of the housing.
We also talked to a person that
A realtor
a realtor yesterday, and she was complaining about it, about the housing. Said it's gonna add $10,000 to the price of this house.
Right.
For these people,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
yeah,
So
And
where
the
is,
life of the 30-year mortgage is $30,000.
you know.
But what I explained to her was I've researched this, and to buy a fire truck, one fire
it's
truck,
$1 million.
it's a 2 to 4 year lead time. Okay? Well, if you wait for the people to move in and pay their taxes, if you got a development of 200 houses, you need the fire truck before you can even get it. So you gotta have some funds to pay for that thing, so you'll have it in a timely manner. So if you do it when the subdivision is proposed, you might get it close enough where you can take care of those people in an emergency.
Right.
Same thing with police cars. They can be as much as a year out depending on the equipment. Well, if you've got 200 families moving into a subdivision, they're going to need police protection at some point.
Right. So if you don't charge them an
If you don't
impact
have
fee,
equipment, they're not going to get a response.
right. And so who needs to pay that? The rest of the neighbors? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, or the
Someone
people
who
that
has
you
to
develop.
want.
Right, someone who has lived and planted in
For us, like 40, whatever years.
right, or their whole life, or the newcomers.
Right. And obviously, number one, developers want the price as low as possible because they want to be able to sell. I mean, I took economics in college, and the price, as the price goes up, demand goes down. If they can keep the price down, then they can keep moving more and more people in here and selling more houses. Realtors obviously want the price as low as possible so they can sell more and get their.
So the bottom line of the discussion with this lady was, she goes, I understand both sides of the argument now. Her eyes opened up when I explained the lead
Okay.
times on equipment, emergency equipment. And she goes, nah, I understand both sides.
She
of the
said that she was a travel nurse, and she said, yeah, it did take like 6 years. to get
It takes a
that
long time, strangely
It
enough.
did.
Yes.
Now, the other thing about it is think about, if they don't charge an impact fee, if they do charge it, it adds cost to that house. It adds value to everybody's house. So if they keep that housing prices low, that impacts your house. Because if those houses in that development cost an extra $10,000, what do you think that's going to do to your house? That's going to make your house more valuable. So that's where I get. I mean, if they build more developments in Greenville, that's going to keep prices low, which impacts the value of our home. If there's less supply because they're building less, the value of our home is going to go up. So really, they're also taking money from us
Right.
in the value of our home. That's something I don't hear people talk about as much. But if you don't build any more houses, the price of the houses that are currently there are going to go up,
Right.
right? Because they have to move in and they'll have to renovate houses and do stuff like that. But that's
How
yes.
do we approach a moratorium?
I mean, obviously county council can do a moratorium. I think even, it's kind of like with Trump and when he talks about the tariffs, I think it scares people into compliance. I think the fact that you have county council members that are willing to consider it and willing to put it on the table, that it may be enough to get some of these developers, to the table to do the right thing. But yeah, you could ultimately, and to me, I know a lot of these things are kind of built up, and you don't want to turn off the spigot completely, or maybe you do.
Yeah.
That's
you
up.
do.
That
Well,
is
there are
part of the
other
discussion.
things too. There are other things that you want to see a moratorium on, as far as the purple lights.
Purple lights.
The purple night lights, headlight. What are they called? Street lights.
Oh,
In all the neighborhoods that I've
They're
been
purple?
seeing, there should be a moratorium on that,
You mean they just stopped doing it? Stopped
Yeah.
using it?
or put a hold on it.
I don't know about purple lights. I
Yeah.
do know that the neon or whatever lights that the Duke Power puts up and whatnot, if they have that
So it's
strange
Duke
blue color,
Power.
if
Yeah.
they have a strange blue color to them, that's a defect. If you call them, they will come and replace it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's something that's out there, because we had two of them in our neighborhood.
So we have to call Duke Power?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
As far as moratoriums go, several years back, Malden put a moratorium in on housing development because the development was exacerbating the sewer treatment system.
Wow.
They couldn't handle any more volume. And so they had to wait till that got improved before they could allow any more construction to be allowed. So that's a case where a moratorium can be done because it affects the general, situation.
And that was probably an extreme case, and it was probably because they didn't do the proper planning ahead to know that they were approving all this stuff, and nobody factored in the fact that the sewage treatment plants were not going to be able to handle the capacity.
Exactly.
And what you will find is a lot of times they approve things and say, knowing, oh, well, we'll deal with that later. Let's approve it and then figure it out
Yeah.
later on.
Figure that out.
Like
Yes.
roads around
No,
subdivisions.
they don't.
Right. Now, I will tell you another way that a friend of mine fought a subdivision in Simpsonville. He's an engineer, all that. So he kind of gets all that kind of stuff. He went and followed up, not to just, go in there and say no. He went in there and followed up and said, oh, okay, well, if you're going to build it, then you have to do this, 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 and this based on the law. Most of it was the ADA stuff, Americans for Disabilities Act stuff, and all the sidewalks and all that kind of stuff. And what happened is, when he brought all of that up, it made the financial dynamics of building that subdivision unprofitable to the developer, which killed it that way. So there's multiple ways. Olga doesn't like me saying this, to skin a cat, but
Not a cat.
We want to skin a cat. But
general.
another way is the illegal workers that are in. And Troy, you said something to me
Yeah.
this morning.
I called it as I was getting ready to leave the house to take grandkids to school. It was on Fox News this morning.
Right.
It says that be prepared. You will see ICE officers in the area. They will be running an operation in the very near future.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
ICE
Say it loud.
Fox
In-
News this
Yes.
morning at the 7 o'clock hour.
Where?
They
Local
had
Fox? Local Fox.
Local
Local
Fox,
Fox.
the local 21. They turned around and said that ICE has informed that there's been a press release saying that ICE will be doing an operation in the area.
Yeah.
Say specifically where.
Listen, this is not,
From our meeting with the
Give.
sheriff, he said that ICE would be coming, he's already talked to them for an immigration action, and he did tell us in the meeting that it would be either October or November. So,
Yes,
and here we
right.
are in the middle of November, and here it is now, it's on the press. So hopefully this is what we've been waiting to hear.
and hopefully our
Right.
asking the questions maybe
Right.
Getting people
Got
to
this.
say, hey,
Yeah.
I got people in my district.
Yeah.
My constituents asking me, hey, when are you guys gonna do it?
Right.
And that may be what it
That
takes.
could
Yeah,
be
and that's the
thanks to
type of
you,
pressure that we
Irene.
need to keep up.
Well, to
Because
him
you guys
too,
went
he
and
was
met with
really
Hobart,
good.
the sheriff,
Yeah, we-
about the ICE issue and why we were not
Right.
fully engaged as a full partner. Apparently, there's 3 different levels you
Yeah.
can be engaged with ICE. We were only engaged at the first level, but we wanted
Second level.
second level.
Yeah.
You sure? All right.
Yeah. First
Second
level was
level,
even,
yes.
even less work than
Right.
what we were at.
Right. Right.
Which is basically, you just take, you're letting them run and say, okay, do whatever you want. We're not even having, we're just gonna let you do what you want.
And why is that even a level? so
So we're gonna
politicians
be on
can say they
level
signed a
three.
Say
letter.
that they're doing
Right.
something.
Right. Well, we wanted the full level,
Yeah, we
and
want the top
hopefully we can
level.
get
Yeah,
there.
we
And I've
wanted-
heard some
yeah,
other
we
talk
want-
that maybe we'll
We
get
wanted
there.
the warrants division to be
Right.
involved.
Right.
That their kickback with that is manning and training and
Right.
budget wise, he just didn't have it. Especially since he's fighting for budget increase just so he can pay his deputies more to keep.
Right.
So he is really having a hard time with turnover. I've been watching his numbers, and he's having deputies that are leaving for more money.
It's very interesting. They all go, and then we used to
They
do
go to
this
the
in the old
cities.
days when I worked at like KPMG, Morrow, or whatever. People would go from one accounting firm to the other accounting firm to
Right.
the other accounting firm to the other.
That's everywhere.
know,
though.
and now that's what you're seeing with sheriff's deputies. They're moving from the county to this city or that municipality or this other county. I mean, it's quite interesting to watch them kind of fight and try to keep good employees and stuff like that. So that's one of the issues that's out there. There's a raise that's being requested, by the sheriff's office. There's going to be
Kicking back on.
there's going to be a big debate, and that's going to be quite interesting. I did hear, but back to the ICE piece. I mean, obviously that stuff is going on everywhere. It's not just, it's not just in Democratic cities.
Mhm.
It's going on here in Greenville, South Carolina. And if we don't approach it, we don't get involved in it. We don't, you would think, the local folks would be as participatory as they could, but there are people on the other side here in Greenville that are probably Republicans that do not, want an enforcement action going here.
Right.
It hurts their bottom line because a lot of those people are the businesses that benefit from the illegals being here.
There are a lot
And
of
not just
Right.
not just the businesses,
Yep.
but even a lot of them are landlords that are benefiting
Yeah.
from
Right.
Mhm.
renting to illegals because they can charge them more money for rent, knowing that you're illegal. I can charge you whatever I want, or else you go somewhere else. And you can't complain about what your living conditions are because
who are you going to complain to?
you go complain, you walk in, it's like, okay, oh, you're not here legally. Oh, we can take you. That's what their fear is that they can hold it over them, and it is nothing to see 3 families living in a 3-bedroom
Right.
house. And we're not talking just 3 families, like 3 couples. We're talking about 3 full-blown families.
Yeah, and they're trying to save as much
Four-
as they
four kids
can,
each.
and they're trying to save as much as they can
But in the
so they can
meantime,
send money back, and or they want to save as much as they can so they can get their
So
kids
they're
into schools and all that
exploiting
kind of stuff here. So
that plus you're getting the handouts from the government for SNAP programs and all the other programs that they're not even supposed to be getting, but we know they backdoored ways in to let them get their hands on it.
Mhm.
It's a no-win.
well, all of that gets back to transparency, and a lot of transparency has come through with the government shutdown, which is now done, I guess, or they finally got
Yeah,
that
it's done.
completed.
They finally signed it.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, imagine the transparency that's coming out about Obamacare with that and about SNAP benefits in that regard. So,
Can you read my writing?
Olga,
Yes,
battery to the laptop.
we can.
Okay. All right.
We're a very active audience today, so picking up with all these comments.
All right. So we're active on the comments. So, all right. Well, tell me when you see Mike get into the backstage, because we're almost there.
See him yet, but
Okay.
He
Oh.
may want to talk about the Scout Motors debacle.
Oh, yes.
That's what he
Y'all know what happened with Scout, right? So, I mean, we gave a ton of money to Scout Motors, all that kind of stuff. That was announced this week that, who to make a truck or a 4-wheel drive vehicle or Jeep or whatever they're doing down there, Grand Cherokee. I don't know what Scout's building down there, but
It's electric vehicle.
it's an electric vehicle.
Oh, man.
And of course, demand for those are going, through the floor. But then they're apparently going to, instead of putting their headquarters in South Carolina, they put their headquarters in Charlotte. So 1,200 high-paid jobs
Oh,
are now going to Charlotte instead of South
it
Carolina.
won't last.
So that's in Mike Burkhold texted about that. So you bring that up. I'm sorry.
Why did they transfer over?
Probably because the deal was rushed through so quickly that it was probably not added into the deal, and it was just left off. But I mean, it just shows you. And Scout apparently was the entity that requested that South Carolina pass a hate crimes bill, because Scout is owned by Volkswagen out of Germany. So
Oh,
I mean, and it's
okay.
pretty well known. It's a liberal company or organization, and they wanted to turn South Carolina more liberal to account for that. So, all right. So 11:45, I think we've got Mike on. We are going to see how we can figure this out. We are going to add him to the stage.
All right.
We're going to remove you. Mute. Mike, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Give us a thumb. Oh, now I got to turn this volume up.
Got me?
All right. Mike, are you there? Can you hear us now?
I'm here. Yes. Can you hear me?
All right. Can everybody hear? You're going to love his mustache. We could zoom in. One of our regulars has the exact same thing. A little grayer, but you will like how you will look in about 20 years. Unless you're coloring that thing, which
No. I've been accused of that, but no.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today. Mike, you live down in Charleston, the Sullivan's Island, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so we're glad to be able to get you on here and tell us a little bit about yourself. We've kind of prepped everybody, letting folks know what the comptroller does generally.
Okay.
But tell us a little bit about yourself, why you got interested in this, what the comptroller does. And I'm a CPA, so I think I understand why it's one of the most important positions, but most people don't know much about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm a native South Carolinian. That seems to be something that always comes up on the campaign trail. I grew up in Chapin, which is, right above Columbia, up on Lake Murray. Went down to the College of Charleston, had a great education there. Really enjoyed that. Then went up to be the town administrator for the town of Clover. Clover's Western York County, south of Gastonia. Did that for about 4 years. So I got a lot of municipal management work going there. And I had a council who really, really kind of brought me up. I was young and they taught me a lot. Then I became the candidate for South Carolina District 5. I ran against John Spratt in 1998. I had one of the top 10 races in the country, but it was a year that it was 98 was a year that David Beasley lost to Jim Hodges. It was a total wipeout for Republicans. So I didn't win that. Kind of pieced out on politics. I decided it was time to raise a family and build a business, and moved back down here to Charleston. Ultimately built a company called Equiscript that processes pharmacy and medical claims, and sold off most of that about 5 years ago, and kind of zoom ahead. Got a great family, wife for 30 years. I've been very blessed. And I think it was earlier this year, it's that kind of season of the year where you write a bunch of checks to the government. And, I know practically we have to pay taxes, right? We have things that need to get done. But the thing that always bugs me about paying taxes, I feel like most of it goes to waste. Right. So just that general feel about that, because I know a lot of it goes to waste. And then I was scrolling through Fitz News about something, and I saw that the state had lost or misplaced, because the headlines were all over the place, $3.5 billion. And I kept going, and I thought, well, that must have been million that I read. And I went back, and it was billion. And that was kind of the beginning of me. It led me to this podcast with you today, because I well, we'll talk about that loss, or how they lost the money. But it took me down this wormhole of, well, how big is the state budget? If you can just lose $3.5 billion. I mean, like, it seems like that would be a lot. I couldn't find information on the state budget. That's hard to find. The state will tell you the budget information is available online, but only part of it's available online. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna take the bull by the horns, and I'm gonna fix this thing and make. I mean, like, I can't think of anything the state spends money on that shouldn't be 100% transparent. I mean, like, nothing. We don't have an NSA or a Defense Department or anything like that we got to deal with. I mean, everything should be transparent. And I think making things transparent and having our books in order are just so fundamental. I mean, it's like we want to try to talk about how we can do other things in the state, but if you don't have those two things squared away, I think you're setting yourself up for failure. So that's why I see an opportunity to get in and fix that. And this office is really broken. I've learned a lot about the office since then that I'm happy to talk about.
Yeah, and you're right about that. It's not like there's some secret NSA thing that we're trying, or CIA or whatever they're trying to do up out of DC. Everything ought to be transparent here. But I will. It's funny when I first spoke to Mike, and it was, I don't know, 6 months ago or whatnot, when you were first making your rounds out there. You know, I forewarned him. I said, Mike, you realize the people that really don't want the government want the actual transparency are the legislators that are hiding things and putting things on in the budget out there that they don't want actually people to know about. And I get it. I mean, who really wants to have to go and justify me, sliding some money to a benefactor or a donor or something like that, or a friend or neighbor, but that's not what government service is about. So, I mean, I kind of forewarned Mike that he was going to be upsetting a few people. I think he's learned. At least from tell me about your experience with that. I mean, what's the reception to somebody who really wants to bring transparency to the comptroller's office and really put kind of sunlight on everything that's in the budget?
It's a great question, Jeff. Well, I've talked to people, I mean, I would say throughout the political spectrum, okay? Everybody agrees that we need to be able to account for all of our money. So nobody disagrees with that. And I just want to be clear, the office really wasn't fulfilling that obligation to begin with, okay? When it comes to transparency, my experience is that everybody says, yeah, we should have more transparency, because every person, I'm trying to think about how to, because it's a great question. I want to get the right. I would say that every person I'm talking to thinks somebody else is hiding something. It's kind of a fascinating thing, right?
Right. Because
it's like, well, yeah, we need some transparency because that guy's doing something wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's like everybody thinks the other person is doing something wrong. And I am sure that the favors that you just talked about go on. We know it. It's just obvious as the day is long. I dialed in, all right, when I dialed in, I heard you guys talking about the scout thing. I mean, like, I don't know, who knows what went on there. I mean, but one of the things that I've also found is true is I assumed that the legislators had information about the way the state runs that I didn't have access to. And I've learned that they don't. That because our executive branch is so fragmented, right? Because like really, like in other states, the controller would be appointed by the governor or something along those lines, right? The treasurer too. And because we're so fragmented, the way our state constitution works, the legislature thinks that they're a powerful legislature and we're a weak governor. And I think they kind of run with that. But what I think that they're missing is that what we really have is a really empowered bureaucracy.
Yes.
Because the legislatures they're part-timers, right? I mean, these guys run other businesses, they do other things. Some of them are interested in finance, some aren't. I mean, like some might even be good at finance and some not, right? And we've given them a $43 billion budget to run. They're not even in session right now. So nobody, like right now, if you have an empty controller seat, who's watching anything?
I mean, that's a great point. And I love the fact that you're kind of bringing that up, because you're right. We do have a part-time legislature. And so the bureaucracy is running everything, at least 6 months out of the year. And even when they're in session, it's they're busy and they got a lot of stuff going on.
I did a little podcast with Jordan Pace a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how he has to FOIA information to get it. Right. I didn't expect that as a citizen. I mean, I quite frankly thought we were electing legislators to go up there and they were empowered to do the things that we want them to do. But right now it seems like what we've done is we're giving legislators our proxy vote, and they don't have the information necessary to make the right vote in some instances. Right. I think people need to know that if the controller, because the controller is the only person that manages the books, if the controller is not taking that information and pushing it out to the legislature in like modern formats, they don't have any more information than you and I have. Yeah. And that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it is quite interesting to see legislators FOIA documents. The beauty of it is at least the legislators are exempt from the FOIA fees. When we individuals as citizens out here try to FOIA stuff, I try to FOIA some stuff out of the South Carolina Department of Revenue, and they send me an $850 bill. But that is how they're trying to keep and hide that information, when in reality, it all ought to be transparent. And I think when you and I spoke, because I remember from several years ago, there used to be a big push. Americans for Prosperity was pushing it. Was something called a checkbook bill or checkbook.
Yep.
I think they have it up in Ohio or somewhere up there that it passed. And then it just kind of disappeared. So that was always kind of my thought process, that some legislators told AFP, "Hey, we don't really want you pushing."
So Matt Hum leads that organization now here in the state, and I've met with Matt about it. And what the resistance they had was from the controller.
Really? That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah. He said that the legislators would bring in the controller, and the controller would say, "We just don't have the resources to do that." Which is a fascinating, and I hope I'm following your right format for your forum here. But I found it fascinating because Ekstrom had this philosophy about government. If you watch, I could send you the thing, but it was in a Senate report. If you watch his head count, the head count around 2000 was about 98 in that office. Now it's around 25. And that he had this philosophy about having smaller government. Well, I mean, like, on the smaller government sounds good to me until it's things like, not going to have any police on the street, or not going to have any accountants doing the accounting. Then it just seems silly, right? And so, so we didn't. I mean, I don't know if he was just maybe he didn't want this whole problem to be exposed, right? The $3.5 billion that was going to be exposed, right? But I think and that checkbook thing I've talked to Josh Mandel, who was the treasurer in Ohio, about how he got that up. And that's a pretty basic resource that we can get stood up, I think, pretty quickly. I think as we enter this world, we've got this world of, big, inexpensive database tools. We've got AI. I think one of the first things that I want to do is just make the raw data available. Right. You and your group can go take it and run with it. Right. I mean,
our AI guy just put up 2 hands, so he's all excited.
Yeah.
If we can get access, if the citizenry can get access to at least just the raw data, then they can, they'll figure it out. So, I mean, you guys do what you need to do to kind of get it out there and put it in the right format and all that kind of stuff. But just the raw data for the citizens. So
the reality I'm going to have to deal with, and I'll tell you why this is kind of my process on it, because I want to be practical about all the things that I promise, is that the IT system, it's an old accounting system that we're on right now. It's 2 years away from being totally unsupported. So, and the legislature, I think, had to put in $40 million for an annual upgrade. I mean, it's an expensive SAP system.
Wow.
I've got to be sure that
our guys just said they can do it for 38.
Sure. Yeah. Right. I mean, we got no idea who that contract is with. Right. And so at a minimum, the state's infrastructure is creaking.
Right.
Right. And there's so many nimble tools out there that you could just push this data out to and let the right person who just kind of wants to zone in on it get it. I mean, I'd love the idea of having some bounties.
Sure.
Find me the fraud. One of the things, so the way this office works, so the legislature apportions money. When a department head wants to spend money, they submit their invoice to the controller to approve it. Okay. There is, by the way, the controller does actually have in the law some ability to make judgment calls on whether things are prudent or not.
Okay. Good.
That's never been done. But essentially, look like, is this something that was approved by the legislature? Is there money in the account? And if it is, you pass it on to the controller. And did they follow purchasing procedures? Right. Then you pass it on to the treasurer to pay it. You issue a warrant. What's called you issue a warrant. Curtis told me he's receiving from the controller on a staff of 25 people in an old IT system, 260,000 invoices a month to pay.
Wow.
There's no friction in that system whatsoever, Jeff. And if anybody, a reasonably smart person, decided they wanted to push some fraud through that system, I'm sure they could.
Yep. And
that doesn't even account all the stuff we're buying that we shouldn't be buying, and the just, all the great typical Doge stuff, right? There's a great opportunity to Doge the state here, right? Just the contracts we're paying on that have been expired, that for services that we don't need, all that type stuff. So it just seems like there are two pieces to this role for me. One is the accounting. We got to get that right, because that's clean data essentially, right? Clean, nice, clean, tight data that we can account for. The other thing is essentially the information, which is what your AI guy got excited about, right?
Right.
It's transactions. It's all transactions, but it's an enormous amount of information. And it'll tell you, once we can get access to that in the contracts, we can look and say, okay, which contracts came in, which ones were underbid, but then exceeded their pricing. You want to get to all that kind of detail.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And to me, and you tell me how you feel about it. It's kind of like with Trump and the wall and stopping, people coming across the border. Everybody said, oh, well, we need legislation. We need, Congress has to do something. Well, Trump got in there and was able to fix it. Do you think the comptroller's office, do you think, we don't need to wait to pass a checkbook bill, do we?
No.
Or is that something you can do? You have the authority to do.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So, and that's what we're looking for. And to me, it was funny when your campaign person reached out to us initially, and I was trying to, talk about the comptroller's race or whatnot. And I'm like, you don't have to convince me about how exciting that is, because I think it is literally one of the most important things out there.
Well, we got to convince a lot of other people though.
Well, you tell us and in getting to the campaign, is there anyone else running? Is the current person that was appointed by Governor McMaster, which I understand is a Democrat, is he running? How does the race look to you at this stage?
So the current person that's in there, his name is Brian Gaines. To a person, everybody who I've spoken to about him tells me he's a great civil servant who was requested to fill this role, who's a good guy for stepping in. That's what I hear universally. I don't know about him being a Democrat. I've heard he is, but I don't know.
Sure.
As far as anybody else being in the race, there's nobody else in the race right now that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And I plan to win anyway. So
good. So has Gaines said whether he wants to run for that position? Or?
I have heard, and that's just what I hear, right? I have heard that he has no interest in running for that position.
Okay. Yeah. And hopefully that's what it was. Just here's an administrator. We're going to fill that position, and for the last 2 years of the term or whatever it was, and then let the people choose.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that will be good. So we actually have seen a lot of times, they'll appoint somebody and that person that's an easier way to get them incumbency, and that's an easier way to get them elected. But I'm hopefully he is just a civil servant and just filling that spot and letting the people choose.
That's what I understand so far. Things, it's politics. Things can change.
Sure. We understand. Well, and the good thing is you talked about running that congressional race. So you have run and experienced a serious campaign. And I know it's got to be tough running a statewide campaign anyhow. It's nice that nobody else is running, and you got out there very early. And I don't think anybody's running against Curtis at this time too. But you and Curtis, y'all have a good relationship, as I understand.
Yeah, I really enjoy. I was on the phone with Curtis earlier this week. I enjoy that, and look, if I get up there, I've got to work with the Senate effectively. I've got to work with with Curtis effectively. My view on how to do that is set a goal and say, this is where we want to go. Right. And let's just focus on that. I mean, I watched some of the Senate trial against Curtis. I mean, my preference is like, okay, that's the rearview mirror. Let's move forward.
Right.
If we're going to serve the citizens, I think the best service is fixing the books. There was apparently a big breakdown between the controller and the treasurer last time. We need to work together. And so I enjoy my relationship with Curtis.
Very good.
I do.
Yeah, and that was something. I mean, we actually broadcast that whole thing. It gave commentary during it. We're big fans of Curtis up here, and to me, as I tried to explain it, it was like blaming the investment guy for what the CPA did on the tax return. It didn't make any sense. It just, it was obviously, from our perspective, an accounting issue, not, and it was a power grab by the Senate. And I understand that's hopefully in the rearview mirror. And I've even heard Stephen Goldfinch say that he was asked to participate in that and didn't really want to or whatnot. But who knows? But hopefully that's behind us and we can move forward.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know what we're going to gain by continuing to spend time on that, right? I mean, you gain. I mean, I agree totally with your analogy. I mean, not only that. I mean, if Ekstrom was willing to lie to the Senate and everybody else, well, he was willing to lie to Curtis.
Yeah, true.
Right. I mean, it's like so certainly. One thing I want to go back to though about this whole $3.5 billion. Ekstrom received audit findings on that very issue, this misbooking issue they had, for 10 years in a row. And so it was an adverse audit finding, Jeff. And I mean, like when I was CEO of my company, I had a private equity board and everything. If I had a material audit finding and I hid it from my board, I would have been fired and blackballed.
Right.
Right. I mean, like nobody would hire me as a CEO again if I did something like that.
Right.
And what really bothers me is not just that Ekstrom did it, but that the state auditor knew it. And so I can't get around by looking at that and saying there's some kind of rot in the culture in Columbia there, where the guy, that's just a problem, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the first. I mean, that's what in the private industry, as you said. I mean, we're all scared about the CPAs or the auditors coming up with anything, and if they do come up with anything, you don't want it on that report more than 1 year. So
right. I mean, and then not only that, what's so odd about it, Jeff, is like, as you mentioned, is like, okay, so you've got this misbooking error. Somebody finds it. What you do as a professional is you fix it.
You fix it. I mean, that's what your next 12 months is.
And that's what work. I mean, that's what work is. I mean, you're running a state. You're doing the account for a complex state. There's a booking error. Okay, we found it. We're going to fix it. We've trained the staff. We've let the attorneys know. We're footnoting it. We're doing all this stuff. Done. I mean, like, it wasn't that complicated to fix.
Right.
So
tell us what you're thinking about. Have you talked to senators or House members? Are they supportive of giving you the budget that you'll need, to, I guess, maybe increase staff and all that kind of stuff once you get in there?
I got to say, it's an odd. I mean, I'm physically. I want to. I'm physically conservative, but I got to say, I mean, like it is kind of this. I'm sensitive to it because one of my conservative friends needles me every time. He's like, "You're physically conservative, but you want more staff," and I'm like,
okay.
I think you got to have the right size team if you're gonna fix things, right? and it's talent too. I mean, I haven't been in the office, but you know that if a business, because that office was under a lot of duress, right? You saw that. We all witnessed that. What will happen in a culture there, it's a culture problem, is that all the good people start leaving, right? And I don't want to cast aspersions on any of the staff if they might see this or anything, but typically what happens is all the good people leave because they can get a job anywhere. And then what's left is all the people that can't leave. And that is your core staff at that point, is maybe your C grade players. That's just typical in a company that goes through duress. And I imagine same in the department. So I need to get in there and see what the staff is. I think morale is probably an issue. It's been beat up. Try to recruit some really good CPAs. I think the Controller General's office is analog to the Attorney General's office. I think I should have some accountants out in the field being sure that things are right in the departments. Good. I mean, it just makes sense to go downstream a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be sure that we're booking, because we got like 103 departments, I think 103, 104 departments. They have bookkeepers. They don't have CPAs. So I would send the team out into the field to go be sure everything's booked, to test, to go in and do little audits of the departments, but try to change the culture that way. And so I think if I can do that and get some energy around the, some energy and some esprit de corps that we're fixing things up and that we're good stewards of the taxpayers' dollar and we've got a mission here, I think I can rebuild that office up. Yeah. And I think the legislature is supportive of it.
Okay. Yeah. And to me, I mean, you're talking, music to my ears. Cause I mean, to me, that sounds like a really exciting thing. It's not that how to build a business. You've done it in the past, those types of things, but you're building it within government and as a public service. And I find what you're talking about and what I've heard, from other folks about what you've set out there. I mean, it's an exciting opportunity. And Ekstrom, how long was Ekstrom there?
20 years, 20 something years. Yeah.
Yeah, it just gets slow and complacent, and you need change, and we're very supportive of what you're talking about and what you're doing. So
yeah, and I'd love to come. I mean, like this is the perfect format. This type of podcast is the perfect format for me to come on as the controller and say, guess what we found. Right.
So you want to be the Elon Musk of South Carolina.
I love it. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, how much fun would that be? Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine if you had complete because you guys have to see the contracts. You have to see if there's compliance, and you have to follow all that kind of stuff. Because I can only imagine, here's an invoice that comes in, or a warrant, as you call it. We just issue the warrant and send it on its way. I would sit there and would love to sit there and watch this stuff and find out if and really get involved in it. And one of the other folks, he was a classmate of mine over at the Citadel. I know you went to College of Charleston. They had 7-to-1 girls, the guys, and the Citadel is all guys when I went there. So I know why you really went to COC, but
it's true.
Yeah, I know. But one of my classmates is David Pasco, and one of the things that I got kind of excited about in his presentations is the public corruptions unit, the PCU.
Yeah.
And he has talked about it. After he came up here to Greenville and spoke, there are people that will literally volunteer and want to analyze the raw data, analyze the contracts, look at that type of stuff. We talk about it here in Greenville County, just on the budget. Yes, we want to do an audit of the budget. Well, that doesn't mean go out and hire a CPA firm and pay them a ton of money. That's give people that are, local to the community access to the data and the information, and that can go find things. You mentioned a bounty. I would love to, be a bounty hunter and track people down, but you can be a bounty hunter and track down, financial waste, fraud, and abuse things out there. Can you expand on what you kind of meant, and do you have the authority to do stuff like that? Just curious.
Well, okay. So yeah, I mean, if the data is free, I mean, if I can free to the data, right? Essentially free the data, I'm confident I could find several sponsors who are willing to put up $10,000 for each for some bounties. I just know that. I mean,
individual citizens may do that.
Yeah, individual citizens will put up $10,000 bonuses to find us some cool stuff in there, right? I mean, it's like,
we got a lot of heads shaking in here. So
yes, and then how much fun is it? I mean, it's like it's not like life-changing money, but the to get it and to win it. And I mean, it'd be great. I mean, we all know
Right.
it'd be so much fun, right?
Yeah.
And especially if it's something like, and we're talking like, state, you starting with some big numbers. I mean,
Sure.
a couple $100 million. Look, I've met with 2 Fortune 50 CFOs. And so that means that their budgets are way bigger than the state's. I've described to them kind of the state of where we are in finance right now in the controller's office. And I don't know, government's different than private industry because the CFO can come in and just make changes, right? Both of these men were like easy 10%. If nobody's been looking at anything for 20 years, it's an easy 10% in just waste. And it was interesting because they both went with the same numbers. They said, and then there's another 10% of 15 to 20% of money that's misallocated. Does that make sense? Or am I frozen? Jeff? There you are. There you are. Oh, did I freeze up?
I think you did. And Olga just told me we got a text. We use Spectrum up here and we got the big full gig or whatever. Okay. She said we got a text that we may experience an outage.
Okay. So I was saying those last thing I want to say was those 2 CFOs said there's probably another 15 to 20% of money that's just straightforward misallocated because we're not getting any return on it.
Well, Olga's getting excited. I think we're going to come up with a hat, make accounting great again. So
yeah. For it.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think we have you on track perhaps to come speak at our Greenville GOP meeting in January.
I've had it on my calendar.
We'll work and confirm that up if you're still available for that. And what? Did anybody have a particular question? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Do you know David Pasco, and how well do you think you can work with him?
The question was, do you know David Pasco, and how well do you think you can work with him?
I don't know David personally. We share the same political consultant, and so I'm very familiar with David, and I like everything that I've seen about his platform.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
As South Carolina's comptroller, I'm wondering if you would accept a DOGE type investigation into South Carolina's finances and budget.
Okay, I'll repeat the question, but as the South Carolina controller, would you accept a DOGE type effort or organization and investigation looking into the South Carolina budget? I think I know the answer.
Yeah, 100%. Right, 100%.
Yeah. Also, yeah. And I think that's really almost what you're.
That is what I kind of it's this is a complex topic, or maybe I just haven't simplified it enough. When I showed up in some of the county party meetings, I just say I'm going to doge the state. they get it. Yeah.
I think, and that's what people want to hear. That's what people get excited about, because we do know there's waste, fraud, and abuse out there, and some of it is just by happenstance and just the bureaucracy, the system that's kind of there. Some of it is some nefarious things that I think folks want to have ferreted out. So, did you have a second?
After you're elected, your first meeting with Lindsey Graham will give you a white mustache.
No,
it won't.
He said, no, we'll see. So, it's going to be a very interesting Senate race this year. So,
does the comptroller have any input into the budgets for the individual departments?
Does the comptroller's office have any input into budget for individual departments and offices?
I think that's such a great question. Okay, so no, right now the controller does not. Okay, the department proposes their budget to the Senate, but I think that can change. I mean, because if I want to make this office much more like a CFO's office. Mm-hmm. And have my staff support the Senate and explain what actually is going on in the department financially, because they don't have that information now. I need to be helping legislators understand what's going on in the bureaucracy. Also, now I do report to you, right, the voters, And so while I don't have, you know, kind of a legislative say in the budget, I certainly will have insight, fact-based information and influence through, you know, just relationships that with the senators and then also with the voters, right? So I think that I need to share this information as it goes out, to have influence on departments that are just not managing their money well. You know, we're going to have some departments that manage their money well and some that don't. And I think that seems like a fair measure, right? Like if this, I don't know, Department A is managing their money well and Department B is not, let's call it out.
Right.
Yeah. It's just fact, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I think, you know, to me, you know, we're all about people coming to the table and talking and working together. I mean, if you're running a department, if I was running a government department, I would be excited to have the accounting help and the professionalism that I think a guy like yourself could bring to the table, you know, through the comptroller's office and kind of get that done. So, you know, people, you know, I don't mind mistakes. I don't like people that hide mistakes or keep making mistakes. So, you know, finding and identifying issues and problems, you know, is something that I think is very exciting out there, and nobody should be afraid of that. And
no, one of the insights I got from one of the senior legislators, okay, I tell which one it was because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to violate any discussions I had with him, but he said, look, this is a senior legislator. He said, when somebody comes to me and they tells me there's an inefficiency or a problem at a department, this particular guy's an attorney. He says, I write him a letter. He said, I write him a letter, which in my mind is a very legislatory, attorney-ish thing to do. Of course, that's what you're going to do, right? You're going to write a letter. And I can see he's probably BCCing the person who told him, you know, the whole thing, right?
Right.
Very kind of bureaucratic and legislative. But he said, then next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I got like 20 people from that department coming to find me to tell me there's nothing to see there. This is all just one little anecdote. It doesn't really mean anything. And they'll spend about an hour with me trying to grapple onto things. And there's just, you can't grasp. It's hard to get any traction. And he said, I know we've appropriated things that they, like programs for them to implement that they never implemented, but they still take the money for.
Right.
And he said, it's just really difficult to know. And essentially the appeal to me was, I need somebody to help me with that. And so that's what I hope the role is I can fill here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you should be a partner to the legislature because as we talked about, they're part-time guys and, you know, they're running their legal practice or their business or whatever they're doing. And it's tough to spend full time as probably Jordan was talking about, trying to track down the data and track down folks when you got the other side, you know, trying to hide things from you and say, there's nothing here to see. So I get it.
That's right. Yeah.
So everything going good on the campaign. What can we do? Travel the state. I mean,
I'm up in Anderson Monday night. And then I think a little thing down in Clarendon early December. And then I think things kind of get quiet for the holidays, a couple of holiday parties and stuff. And then I think I really kick things off in January, like the 3rd or something up with you guys, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think we were scheduled for the 5th. The facility we use is moving us to the 12th. So I'll get with your folks.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So kicking things off there and just traveling around the state. I have been I see a good question here from Elizabeth. It's very nice. I have been invited to come up to Virginia to meet with Governor Youngkin's outgoing staff. They've got a really top-notch finance team up there.
Good.
So I've got my first conference call with them, try to, you know, learn. I'm running a race to win. And so I'm going to go ahead and start planning like, okay, what are the things that I need to do? They had a really good finance team, Youngkin, bright finance mind. And we're going to try to pick up some of their best practices.
Okay.
The question from Elizabeth was modernizing the state's financial systems. Elizabeth, I think I'm going to be either the beneficiary of or saddled with the system the state's already on, this big SAP system, because they just made a $40 million investment in the upgrade on it. And I think those are like annual numbers that they pay for. I think, you know, there are you have an AI guy there. He might help me with my terminology. The SAP system is, I think, what people will call a system of record. right? Structured databases. It can be a system of record. I think that if you're looking for more modernized outputs and charts and things, it's probably not going to be out of the SAP system. We'll have to take the data out and stage it in a different database and then run those tools over that. Am I still getting head nods?
I'm good. Yes, you are.
Okay,
It
good.
makes sense to me. You have to have a system of record which is kind of foolproof and not played with too much. But then
That's
you can
right.
take that raw data and put it into other things to analyze it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything else you can add? That
Man, I would love for you guys to spread the news. Encourage other people to come to my website, Burkhold.net, BURKHOLD.net. Reach out to me. It's Mike@Burkhold.net. I need supporters. It's raising money. It's not the easiest office to raise money for because on the one hand, I guess how do I describe it? Well, there's no natural constituency for this seat, right? Like the governor's got a natural constituency. The AG, like all the attorneys, give it to the AG. It's not like that for the controller seat. So I just need to get the word out there. So financial help is appreciated, and support and social media retweets and all that stuff is great. So,
well, the funny thing is, I by training or trade, I was a tax attorney, CPA. My joke was I always have job security because who wants to sit in a cube and do tax returns? Actually, I prefer to be doing that than doing some of this political stuff. But I'll be shocked if anybody kind of comes out there. You're actually, as I'm seeing and hearing, you're actually doing the things that are necessary and proper to prepare for the job. How's anybody else going to step up for it? So I'm excited to hear what you're doing. I think if anybody doesn't have competition, it'll be you and Curtis this year. It's if I could put some bets out there and actually make some money betting on political betting, that I certainly assume those two things.
Well,
but I appreciate your stepping up, offering to serve. It's not I don't know what the comptroller's office pays, but it doesn't pay what the private sector pays. And there's a lot of people in the bureaucracy that get paid more than the private sector. And I know the finance people get paid a lot more in the private sector. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you. It's the Lord's put me in a spot where I can afford to do this. The thing that I enjoy about it, and not only that, the things I've done throughout my life, I think have placed me well to do this. I prayed about this a lot because I'll be driving to Columbia a lot. And so, but I have a strong sense of civic duty, and this feels like a job where I can have a deliverable, right? Does that make sense? I can come onto this podcast and visit with you, and I can say, okay, once I get in office, for example, I can say, okay, this is my assessment of where we are, and then this is where we're going to be 4 years from now. And with good planning and diligence, ideally we'll be at that place 4 years from now, right? We'll have clean books, and I can look back and I can say, well, great, I did that in 4 years, and I served my state, and I fixed things up, and now I'm off, and nobody even knew who I was because I was controller general, but I did my job.
Right. So you're running for governor in 4 years? That was
no. That was like I'm out. That was an I'm out thing.
We're teasing with you, but Mike, thanks for taking the time. We look forward to seeing you in January. Whatever we can do to help or assist, obviously we're the Republican Party up here, but we'll see if you have I don't know if we're going to have a forum with you and anyone else, but I do think and I've reached out to Curtis. Hopefully he can join us in January as well. I kind of see you two as a tag team to be able to get out there and fix this stuff, expose it. Curtis, I've always noticed in the past, he exposes things and then he gets pushback from certain legislators and things like that. I understand it. We get pushback on things we try to expose out there, but I think this, and certainly the June 9th primary and some of the people running in all the statewide constitutional offices are up next year, and then all the House reps are up. It seems to be a group of folks that want change. They want to improve. They love South Carolina, and they want to try to make a better South Carolina. So I appreciate what you're doing, and Curtis, and you know, I know Curtis wanted to go on vacation and live live a happy life, but I'm so happy that he's sticking it out for another 4 years. He needs
I appreciate your sentiment there. I want to tell you one more thing before I hang up with you. I love the state. I think, you know, a lot of people when they run for Optimist, they're like ringing about how bad things are. We're at a spot in the state right now. I mean, look, the books are broken. I don't want to, but that can be fixed.
Yes.
I think we're at a spot in the state where, as I mentioned, I'm a native South Carolina. I've been here forever. We have never had an opportunity like this before, where the state is flourishing and prospering, and we can do things. If we can just get our financial house in order, we can do things like eliminate the income tax and create a more prosperous South Carolina. And so I'm very excited about the future of the state. And I want this state to be the freest, most financially well-run state in the union. That's my goal. And so
got a lot of thumbs up from here. And I agree with you. I think the people of South Carolina are good people. I think we've got the resources. We've got the, you know, from the coast to the mountains. I mean, we've got it all here. I mean, it truly is, you know, my family's been here since the 1600s, and I get it. You know, I mean, it's, you know, but we have it all here and available to us if we can just clean up a few things, get some good professionals in there that know how to do things and that really want to give back to society and give back to the state of South Carolina. So,
that's right. That's right. It's exciting times. So
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks for
Thank you.
all you're
Thank
doing, and we'll be in touch and have a great weekend.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thanks, sir.
Wow, that was good.
Good information on that young man.
I gotta turn off. Turned you back on, and I'm muted. Is this working now? All right.
He's still
Is
there.
Glenn the sound guy, the remote sound guy?
Well, that was good. That was,
So what is Glenn's new handle?
yeah, I could see that.
It's the not house of dogs.
It's
Custom maintenance.
Comments. Custom maintenance?
Yeah. The top one up there.
Oh, yeah, that's
Says good morning.
Custom maintenance is Glenn? No, that's Tommy.
Where?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think it's Tommy.
Unless it was coincidence, they were both doing at the same
I
time.
think that's Tommy.
Well, Glenn did say here that I'm sure again.
So whose house of doggies? Okay. Oh, that's Liz. I think that was Liz. Okay. All right. Well, that's the comptroller. It's or hopefully I expect it to be our comptroller, but that's what you want to see people
exactly.
do. You know, I mean, it's not a glamorous job, you know, except for people like me. You know, it took, for me, it's like, the cords were driving you nuts, and you helped us kind of clean that up. You see the accounting and all that kind of stuff. It drives me nuts, and you really want to get in there and do that type of stuff. I love that kind of work and what's exciting, and you know, it's definitely better than the politics, you know, of fighting and out a lot of these types of things. So
Gotta come up with some T-shirt you can wear with that beard. It's almost like
This is his time. That's
well,
Yeah.
well, the guy
mustache, yeah.
the guy that ran the house race over out of Anderson, I mean, that was his yard sign, was his beard and mustache. I mean,
his handle.
it's
Some people can remember.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no, I mean,
exactly.
yeah, and it'll be funny to kind of watch his race and see how much he has to spend on it and all that kind of stuff from an analysis perspective. Governor's races, all that kind of stuff, they spend a bunch of money, and you see all the drama out there. You know, who wants to get on and talk about accounting and make how are we making an accounting exciting? So, but I mean, you know, if you think about it, I mean, it's been a sleepy office for 20 some years. You know, who really knew what Ekstrom and those guys were doing, you know?
Displacing the billions of dollars. You know?
Yeah, and if you hear what he's saying, well, think about it. You get an audit report from a third party or outside independent CPA. I assume that, and I haven't seen those audit reports or whatnot to know who did it. But if you put a material adjustment or a material problem in that audit report, I mean, that doesn't last. Normally you want to fix it before the audit report's even finalized so they can take it off. You know, the problem is, you know, oh, it's there, but it's been fixed. You know, that's kind of the, you know, what you at least shoot for, but you just don't leave it on there for 10 years. And I'm almost kind of curious to see who did the audit, where
Right.
it, how difficult is it? I mean, do you know a website to go look for and find that audit? That's where a lot of that
That's what
stuff
the
gets.
auditor's job is. He did
Well,
his job.
And he said the comptroller was doing that, and the fact that the comptroller's office had it, and but the state auditor was not bringing attention to it. And that's the two positions that resigned. So that's where, from our perspective, and as you hear, they approve the checks, the treasurer's office cuts the check, and the treasurer's office manages the bank accounts and the investment accounts and all that kind of stuff. What did Curtis have to do with nothing? Nothing. I mean, I honestly think there's nothing. Now, if Larry Grooms and Stephen Goldfinch, who were the two that led that on the Senate, if they want to come sit down and tell us exactly, how Curtis's office was at fault, knock yourself out. Come tell us. But they're not out there, going on a road trip telling everybody, what's going on. I think they thought they could hammer something through. And I think they duped a bunch. Maybe they duped a bunch of senators. Maybe there was a bunch of senators who said, "Oh, this is a power grab." Because in other states, you heard, sometimes the treasurer is not is not elected, or the comptroller is not elected. Maybe South Carolina is unique in that situation. Maybe somebody knew South Carolina needed to be unique in that situation because we do have a very powerful legislative branch that kind of controls everything. That back to, not to harp on Pasco and what he's talking about a lot, but, part of his presentation is, who hires the judges, who pays the judges, who then appears in front of the judges.
Right.
It's the lawyer legislators. And I don't know if folks heard last week, but, Senator Shane Massey, lawyer legislator, leader of the Republican majority in the Senate, I mean, he said he didn't see a need for, judicial reform. I mean, really? And the Doge SC guys everybody's getting, you get the text from Ron Reddy and all that stuff. I mean, what they're talking about on the judicial reform is having a judicial merit selection committee. I mean, you can elect them judges, or you can have, what they do in the federal system. The president appoints and the Senate approves. I think what they're talking about is kind of not a hybrid, but having a judicial merit selection committee, which we have right now, which has legislators on there and is controlled by the lawyer legislators, having an independent one, which has no legislators on there, that makes recommendations, goes through and looks at everybody, recommends it, and then they get approved by the Senate. I mean, the governor appointing or judicial merit selection committee of non-lawyer legislators, picking, I could buy off on that. I don't have a particular issue or, against that. If I was a Democrat, there's no way I would want the governor of the state of South Carolina appointing every judge, because they're all going to be conservative, which is probably a good thing. But if you have an truly independent judicial merit selection committee that's picking the judges that then have to get approved by the Senate or the Senate and the House, at least that sounds much better than what we have today. So I think what Pasco, part of his presentation, is we've had a little bit of judicial reform that's out there, but we got a whole bunch more that needs to happen. But for Shane Massey to sit there and say we don't see any need for judicial reform, it just shows you. And I think, as I understand it, the House is now more receptive to judicial reform. Well, guess what? They're up for re-election next year. The Senate is not up for re-election for another 3 years. So, of course, my fear is they're going to pass it on the House. Senate's going to kill it. So, and we're in a 2-year session. So whatever they pass, if the House passes, it'll be dead at the end of this legislative session next year, and then we'll have to start all over. So, but then the only good thing about 2 years from now is, or 3 years from now, they'll all be up for re-election. So they will probably try to delay it as long as possible. Because a lot of this political game is about delay.
Right.
They can keep milking the cow, milking the taxpayers, forever. And we didn't talk about, I wish we had brought it up, the Scout Motors thing, but Mike had texted something about, what an embarrassment the Scout Motors is, I mean, we give them a bunch of money and all that jazz, and then all of a sudden they just pop, there are 1,200 well-paid jobs up in North Carolina. So we'll see. So what else? We did have a guest at the pro-life committee meeting on Monday, which was Lisa Van Riper.
Yes.
Do you want to give us an update on how you felt about it and where we go next?
We have talked with Lisa Van Riper. She gave her explanation of, basically she gave her life story and why she got involved in pro-life and how it's impacting. And then from there, you can see how it's impacting some of the decisions that SCCL is making. We did have.
And she's with South Carolina Citizens for Life.
Yes.
And, obviously we're helping and pushing and, very supportive of Personhood group and Senator Cash's bill S323.
Yes.
Which I think on the 18th, depending on everything how things are going, we hope to show that live. The legislative meeting they're having, they're not taking public testimony next Tuesday, but they will be discussing, the subcommittee will be discussing Cash's bill, hopefully making whatever minor changes they want and moving it up the ladder.
Yeah, and as I've said before, my main focus within the pro-life community is saving unborn children. I think any excuse not to support a bill that would reduce or eliminate abortion by the terms that we use, not the legal term. Any bill, if you're not supporting a bill that would reduce or eliminate abortion, then there's something you're placing above saving unborn lives. She gave her explanation why they're not supporting S323. She suggested that it was supposed to be private.
And I brought it up with her. I mean, it's not that they're not supporting; they're actively opposing, which is what bothers me. I mean, if you go out there and actively oppose a pro-life bill that's, even if it's stronger than they want, I mean, they can make their recommendations. There's things they can do in the background, talk to Cash. And I'm sure they've talked to him and said that we don't support this piece of it. But if it's a minor or small piece of it, let it go through the process. But when you're actively opposing it, that's when my radar raises a little bit.
And it gets me upset too. Her explanation was that they actually were making it private. It was a letter that they wrote to Cash and perhaps some other senators, and that got leaked to the media. And of course, there's no way for me to confirm or deny that, so I just have to take that at face value. But
you can always send a letter saying, "Hey, we would change this, this, and this." Yeah. But I mean, to sit there and say you're actively opposing it, and I asked her the question on Monday.
So I guess you could say at this point we're frenemies. We still have, she's still open to discussion. She's not interested in having a panel with the other pro-life groups. I talked to her after the meeting about that. She's not interested in it, but she's still interested in keeping communications open. So that part I'm happy for. And I think that's all I had. The only other, you already mentioned the next hearing for S323 is Tuesday, the 18th November. I will be sending an email out to all my contacts, asking them to get in touch with their senators, especially if they're on the Medical Affairs Committee. But basically send it to the senators in general, because I do think, based on the lineup we have in the Senate, I think there's a really good chance they'll at least get on the floor. If there was real interest in the Medical Affairs Committee to bury it, it wouldn't have had a second hearing. So I think there's interest in this. Some other things that have happened this past week. Dr. Clark, who's from Personhood, gave a talk with camp over in Spartanburg last Saturday. I know you were there for that. Let's see. I was impressed. I thought it was going to be a lot more Bible thumping in his talk, because that's what I've heard him do before. And I've had some discussions with him on that, and he actually toned it down. I don't know if it's because he's actually listening to me, or if he was going to do that anyway. But I thought he did a much better approach. I think the talk he gave Saturday is a talk that's going to reach a lot more people than some of the other things I've heard him say. Also, on every single flyer I had for my socialist talk in January was taken, so obviously there's a lot of interest. But I got some bad news on that, which I'll get to in a minute. Actually, I do it right now. The library preempted the Greenville party.
Did we get the 12th? Is it here yet? But did Terry confirm that we got the 12th? You can ask her. If Terry's watching, if she could let us know whether we got confirmation on the 12th. But
yeah, so.
And we did this to you last time, so I apologize because this will be the second time. We will. Okay.
You got the 12th? All right, so there's no conflict.
No, we got the 12th.
Right. Okay, so you got the 12th, so I'm going to have to
move your.
So my most successful campaign right now, I'm going to have to try and get all these same people and tell them to come back a week later.
Sorry. We did it to you last quarter. For whatever reason, I think some people are targeting the date, reserving the library at the same time we are. I want to actually go out to FOIA and find out who's reserving a part of that library.
Well, the easy thing to do is just have someone there that
True.
What's going on.
The Adam Morgan.
No,
sorry, that's not. Or his employee.
Or maybe there's some librarians that have long memories.
Yeah, we did get beat up a lot by the librarians when we called them out for the books. Yeah, the first quarter meeting will be on the 12th, Monday the 12th of January at the library.
So I'll have to adjust fire on that. On the plus side, I'm not going to have to throw any flyers away. On the bad side, I have to find out where those flyers went.
And you're going to do a presentation on socialism, and I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's actually going to be a 3-part. We had this voted in on the 3rd. January is going to be what it is and how to recognize it. February is going to be how it's infiltrated Christianity and our culture in general. And but we have a Christian culture, so it's really the same thing. And then in March, I'm going to give some practical advice on how to deal with socialists in a more normal setting when it's like one-on-one or small groups. Because I hate leaving things with just being doom and gloom. I actually like to end things by having some proactive, something you can actually do about it, as opposed to getting this sense of helplessness. And then back on Monday the 10th, Sarah Beth of Operation Save America was arrested. She was flagrantly broke the law. Remember what something I said a couple weeks ago about stupid, energetic people will destroy a unit? This is the kind of stuff that's hurting us. Still plan to have a talk with Solicitor Crick, and it would not surprise me if she brings something like that up at the table. We have a group of people that are traveling all over the country. They show up unannounced, uninvited. They cause all kinds of mischief with a self-righteous attitude, and then they leave, and we're stuck trying to clean up the damage that they did.
And what you're talking about, I guess earlier this week, there was an arrest made at the abortion clinic or Piedmont Women's Center across the street.
Technically it was. Yeah, she went on their property, and Tuesday, I think it was her father. She married someone here, but I think that's her father, adopted father, that is actually running OSA. Anyway, he and another one of them went right into the middle of Piedmont Women's Center again, almost like they're daring me to call the cops a second time. They did it towards the end, so even if Piedmont Women's Center called the sheriff's department, they were gone before the police would have showed up, before the sheriff's deputies would have showed up anyway. And then on the positive side, Hannah Mayers, she's a woman who came from a very troubled past and had a lot of abortions and other issues, but has seen error of her ways and is now preaching, the redemptive side. I met her at a church function at the beginning of 40 Days for Life, and she finally got in touch with me saying she'd be interested in giving a talk and things like that. So she's on communication's been sporadic, but the fact that she reached out is very heartening for me.
Good. I think there's going to be some progress, at least some progress in the discussion going on the pro-life movement with the legislature this year. So I'm hopeful that there will be some advancements made. One of the things I brought up with Lisa Van Riper the other night was, if you're concerned, and I've had this discussion with folks that have, more moderate opinions on the pro-life Republicans, because there's a lot of Republicans that are pro-choice and they want exemptions, they want all that type of stuff. The discussion I've had with them is, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let's, I think as part of your learning journey, and as you go through that spectrum, you'll see things as I have developed over the years. And I'll admittedly tell people in the beginning, I was like, it's not my place to tell a woman what to do with her body. But somewhere along that journey, the whole thing flipped, and I said, "Oh, wait a second! There's a different body in there. There's a second body, a second person. I mean, it's not my place. It is my place to stop somebody from murdering someone else. So I mean that we can, but that is something that did not hit me until somebody somewhere along the line kind of pointed it out, and it kind of grew within me, and I learned and learned, more. And I think a lot of people are on a learning journey in regards to that. But one of the things that I help convince those people to accelerate their learning is I want South Carolina to be the most pro-life state in the union. And if we are, guess what? The libs from New York and Jersey and Washington State will stop moving here. Yeah. They sit there and they move. I love all you guys from New York that moved down here in Jersey or wherever you came from that come down here and then join the fight because you left that place. And I blame the people like me that their families and everything. We thought everything was fine. Oh, it's my buddy, from high school is a state senator or state house rep or a governor or whatever, and I think everything's fine because he was a fun guy in high school. But no, they've been selling us out. So it's our fault. I take the blame. It's people like me, and it's some of the people that have moved here that have said, "Hey, I saw the same thing happening 20 years ago in Jersey or wherever." And we're here because we thought y'all were a solid red state. And they walk in the door of our headquarters and they're like, "Oh my God, it's worse here than or I see where the path is going." And I asked them and I asked my other friends, I'm like, where do we go? If I wanted to flee what people are fleeing in New York, say, "Oh, South Carolina's going the wrong direction," where do I go? I guess Florida. I like Florida, but where do you literally go? I think we have to stand and fight. And I'm very engaged in the fight. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But what I told Lisa, and I hope, I don't know if she connected, but I'm like, if you don't fight these fights now, wait till you get another 10% or 20% of the population that is far left liberal. We're going to have a real problem getting stuff done here in South Carolina. We're still salvageable today. But
That's absolutely true. Not that long ago at the abortion clinic, pro-abort came in, and he's actually one of the ones you could actually talk to. But he started off with the whole "it's her body," and I asked him, he's an atheist. It's like, well, where did your sense of morality come from? He says, well, your right to choose ends where it impacts someone else. So in other words, a woman's right to her body ends when she kills a child. And his head just dropped. But later on, and you're absolutely right about the invasion, later on he tried to convince me and Gary that socialism in Europe is such a wonderful thing. We need to socialize and bring everything together. And his whole argument, he's saying about how great it is.
Really?
And I'm like, yet you're here.
Why are you here? Move to Europe, man. Knock yourself out.
If you love it so much, what is it about here that's bringing you here? You love the milk and honey, but you don't want to harvest it.
Yes. And a lot of the things that those people say, it sounds great. But human nature is what human nature is. We are not, we're lazy. We take the easy road out. We're cruel. I mean, I love Roman history. You study 2,000 years ago, what they did in Roman history. Same thing is going on today. So we might as well understand who we are as human beings and create a system that has the proper friction. That's what capitalism is.
That's right.
We're all not going to volunteer. We go to, Olga's obviously from Poland. We go to like her sister's village where her sister lives. There's this nice communal farm. It was a big building. It was probably where they were doing all the stuff during communism. Well, guess what? When the roof needed to be fixed, nobody wanted to pay or fix the roof. And now the whole big, huge complex is all, falling down upon itself. Because that's what human nature is. You put a capitalist in there and somebody owned it.
That's right.
They're going to take care of it because they know they have to and they have to invest in it. But if it's all of us, who wants to pay for the new roof on this building? Anybody? Anybody else want? I have. We got to make sure it's done. Because we have an interest in it. But I'm like, it's not. It's not like the Wild West and we're doing a barn raising and everybody comes and contributes. They were contributing labor for a day or two. But somebody has to pay for all the other sides of it.
The labor, it's the error of the commons.
Yeah.
It's one thing if a guy owns his own field, he's going to make sure the cows aren't going to over-harvest any particular part. But if everybody has equal access to the ground, they don't care. They don't care because it's not going to be their cows that have to be there tomorrow.
So you don't need to give your speech. On social media.
And we're stepping back a little bit. Ginger had a question. She wasn't clear why Lisa Van Riker opposes S3.
It's because of the criminalization of the woman. Yes.
Her argument is, and there's validity to this, but I still don't think it justifies shutting the bill down or opposing it. She doesn't believe we're ready for it. That's going to be too much of a culture shock. She said, when abortion was introduced with Roe versus Wade, everyone was agreement then that this was not a child, or at the very least, it was undeterminate. Now, 50 years later, all science is saying, yes, this is a child, but no one, people aren't even saying it's not a child anymore. They're saying it's not a person. It's just 50 years later, we have 50 years later this death culture, and people just, it's going to be, her opinion is going to be too much for people just to wake up one day and realize that they're wrong.
They're afraid of what happened in a few, 2 or 3 conservative states, that there was a constitutional vote to add to their constitution right to an abortion. Now, I think, I don't want women going to jail that are something. There are some people that may, because they may be just doing it, when you literally have an abortion ban or whatever, the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, I think it was literally parked outside. Women were literally going in there, getting an abortion and coming out and celebrating.
Yeah.
That is pretty repulsive. I don't have a problem with somebody like that going to jail. Oh, I got pregnant, so I could go and celebrate the fact that I can get an abortion in a van outside the DNC convention in Chicago. That is repulsive, and I think that example would be repulsive to a lot of people.
That is.
And somebody like that should go to jail. But I think what there's, I don't want just regular women. And I think there's a lot of issues, a lot of checks in Cash's bill that will allow for a lot of flexibility to protect
a woman.
women.
Can claim coercion.
Right.
A woman can claim coercion in that matter.
Right, and I think they can testify and they can get off. There's a lot of. I think Cash and those guys have solved it.
And I'm out there 2 of the 4 days that the clinic's open. I'm out there praying. And yes, you get women that look scared going in and they're crying coming out. You also get women that when they see you near the driveway, they speed up. They speed up and flick you off, roll down the window, and yell an expletive as they pass by you, basically telling you, "I wish you were just a little bit closer so I could run you over." It's to classify all women as being victims.
Some are victims.
Some of them
and some are not.
Are more than happy with what they're doing.
The majority of them are not.
Yeah, according to statistics, as many as 70% of women have significant medical and emotional difficulties after an abortion. I mean, that's a significant number. Deep down somewhere inside, most women realize what they did is wrong, even if they've been told their whole lives it's not. It's a very complex issue.
But I would tell Ginger the one thing that there was certainly a commonality is the problem and the issue with the abortion pill. So, I mean, they seem to be very staunch against that. You know, maybe we need, and that is something that we pass as part of our legislative agenda, you know, with the Greenville County Republican Party, is that bring some attention and focus on that. So maybe that's something we can work with them and partner with them on that. Because I do think that's a real problem.
Yeah, and I think the clinic's dying, not because of legislative efforts, but because the pill is taking it away.
Yeah.
And the pill is actually harming the woman. If she has an ectopic pregnancy and she takes that, she could die.
Yes, you know, the stories I've heard, and you know, the abortion pill, that morning after pill, whatever they want to call it, you know, morning after is one thing, you know, let's have that debate. But I mean, there are people that are taking it because they're in a panic and they don't know what to do, and they take a bunch of them, and they're having other issues, other health issues. I mean, it is problematic, and it needs to be addressed. And I think the mail order side of it needs to be addressed. And I don't think prosecutors are prosecuting it; they're not stopping it.
And most liberal states are actually getting concerned about it. California, Illinois, New York, they're seeing increases in defects with domestic cattle, with children, and you know, everywhere, that because they're not able to filter this chemical out. And so they're seeing it in livestock and fish and humans, that there's problems that are the most liberal places where it's easiest to get these things is having these problems that more conservative states aren't. They're actually getting some traction in the liberal states over the bill. That alone should set people worried that if the most liberal states are upset about this, why are we so nonchalant?
And what a lot of people don't understand is our water system. A lot of our water system is recycled. So I mean, what goes down your toilet and down your sink, you know, gets into the sewer systems and gets recycled. And some of these drugs and things that are, you know, going down the tube, quite literally, is coming back, you know, out of your faucet.
This chemical doesn't break down like most other. No, like most drugs have a shelf life, and they take advantage of it. It's going to break down at some point. Apparently, this chemical is very resistant to breaking down, so it's constantly getting recycled.
So the further downstream you go, the worse it can be.
Yes.
Miscarriages are increasing in the most liberal of the states. They're having problems with livestock, deer. I mean, even the stuff's not recycled, it's still going somewhere. It's going to the animals that you want to hunt, it's going to the fish you want to catch.
There's a lot to it, which is, you know, kind of interesting. And yeah, I think it's more of a study that needs to get out there. People need to understand it. But I think their point was possibly to make it that you had to get a prescription to get it. Now you're not even getting a prescription. You just
know over.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the folks that was at the discussion last Saturday, you know, it was Sarita, you know, the house rep over there. She's like, I'm a 51-year-old woman. I guess she's had a hysterectomy camp, but she's like, I just went online and ordered it. They sent it to me. And it's like nobody, you know, I mean, they don't care. They send it to anybody. They don't even ask a question.
As long as they get a sale, that's all they care. But some places like Amazon are respecting the state laws, but most of them aren't.
So we got a lot of things going. A lot of people are busy. We got, you know, obviously two runoffs next Tuesday. Anybody got anything else?
Silent auction last.
Oh yes, silent auction has been fantastic. We've had a lot of people contribute and give things.
We're gonna be collecting for probably one more week.
Yeah, and then hopefully we'll get some emails out about what some of those items are. But yeah, if you want to contribute something or know somebody, Olga's had a fun time. You know, a lot of this is just practice. And she's had I say she had a fun time, but she's walking. We have letters that you can take. Just walk into a local business and ask them if they're willing to contribute something.
Right.
Yeah,
And they'll give you a $50 or $100 gift card. Or
I
something.
have one fun story. It wasn't so fun at the time. I walk into a business that has donated to us in the past I was not the one collecting donations, so there's no way they could have known me. Or I walked and I asked whether they would be willing to contribute again, and the person's response was, "Not this time, but I will buy your cats."
What?
Yes. So
These watching.
obviously, I
teasing.
froze and
Is it a
told them
Chinese
that my
restaurant?
cats were priceless and they could not afford them. And then I just did not know what was going on. Why were they talking about my cats? Long story short,
I said that.
the person at the counter, they visited HQ before our facility here, and they have seen me playing or feeding the cats. So they were not talking about the generals, but they were talking about the feral cats. There were cats here. Either way,
Wow.
that was not a funny joke to begin with, because those cats are not.
But
for
if
sale.
you want to, and if you're out there, if you want to personal growth,
Adopt
you know,
one.
go out and think of a business in Fountain Inn and ask them if they want to contribute something. You never know.
It's a great way.
The last party up for sale.
No,
Oh.
it's not tax. Are you tired of the ukulele that you bought?
I learned how to play it now.
It's a great way to also learn about local businesses, what they stand for.
Yes.
Because some of them are like, well, good thing you're a Republican, because if you weren't, we would not give you anything. Or you get the opposite reaction, which is fine. You just get to
You stop
take
shopping there.
Take a note.
Yeah, just go to the next one.
Yeah, who we're supporting or
Yeah.
who
got a
we're not.
conflict. The city council finally moved their meeting,
Oh, did they really?
but they're just swearing in all the new.
Oh, is it?
So, there's no conflict.
Well, the Christmas party is going to be December 1st. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I will tell you our insurance. There's a couple things that are going on with that. We got with the Greenville Republican Party, we got a notice on Monday that the Hartford Insurance Company is canceling our liability insurance because allegedly they're not going to cover any more political organizations. So we've been paying it for years and years. It's about $550 a year, covers us from liability. We may be further covered under the state or national party, but I don't know. We'll have to confirm that. But just I know, and we're obviously we don't want liability to our ECs and ourselves personally and all that kind of stuff. So they're shopping it with other insurance companies, but even to get the insurance rider just to serve alcohol, just to give alcohol, beer and wine.
Oh.
We're just giving beer and wine away. It's going to be about $550 for the
Which we're
evening.
going to get.
Which we're going to get because
Do the right thing and be safe.
we're not. That's one lawyer thing I know from the regular lawyer side, not the tax lawyer side, is we don't want that type of liability, and we'll get it. But anyway, I think I have a donor that's agreed to contribite for it. But it was $550 just for us to give away, and we can't get out of it by saying, oh, BYOB. I just, where do you go with this stuff? It will be interesting as part of the study that we're doing of what, the insurance, tort reform, and with it, what's shutting down a lot of these bars and restaurants about serving
Right.
alcohol, and the insurance
Exactly.
rates are going through the roof, and all that
That's
stuff we've
just-
heard. It's now hitting us.
It's just the legislature's way of trying to pass the buck to somebody else instead of holding the constituents that voted for them accountable for their actions.
It's something, and it's something that we
If you're
can.
dumb enough to go out there and get drunk and then get behind the wheel and drive, then you should be liable for it, not the bar.
But
Of
it's-
course.
We're going to follow up
I mean,
on some of that
that's-
stuff, and I think it's going to be a fun kind of analysis. And I don't know, maybe we were just targeting ourselves. I mean,
Probably it.
somebody could have said, "Oh, here's a dossier of information about the Greenville County Republican Party. Are you sure you want to assume this risk of what they're doing?" So they could have gotten a letter just about us. So I'm very curious about whether it's just us or it's all political organizations, because the Hartford's a big company. I don't know.
Just
I'm
like
not
that
sure.
with the Minis, Paul did not realize that his Sunday license was expiring. The following Sunday, Sled was in there to check
Really? Wow.
So
Really?
somebody was watching.
Yes.
Send them all out.
Wow.
You know, the following week, somebody's watching.
Listen, and I don't know. I asked the question of Mary
That's amazing.
if our treasurer, Mary Wheeler, if BYOB was fine. I mean, I remember the old days. It's not. But in the old days, you used to be able to go to a restaurant and bring your own or bowling alley. Really? I wish I hung out with them a lot more when I was younger. Take a beer, a 6-pack to the bowling alley.
Was the best.
The German bowling league.
That's hilarious. We do have 2 guests. I don't want to put you on the spot. If you want to introduce, we normally introduce in the beginning. Sorry, we got a little. But if y'all want to introduce or come back next week, and you can introduce then. So
I'm happy to introduce.
Okay.
I'm Mary Jo Hull. I've been in Greenville since '93, but my husband's job took us to Morgantown, West Virginia, even though we kept our farm in Taylor's.
okay.
So I'm one of these people who goes back and forth. My commute is about 8 hours drive.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like West Virginia. It's,
It's a great
beautiful.
state.
I do
It's-
too.
it's
I love
really
West
beautiful.
Virginia.
It
Yeah.
really is.
But I love Greenville and South Carolina. So we're doing this back and forth. And it's working out. We have a bison farm, believe it or not.
Oh,
down the way.
wonderful.
Here in Greenville?
How
Yep.
fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Done it. We got one.
Oh my gosh,
the
how
freezer.
fun.
Really?
Yeah, little by
And
little.
are you
it's
raising
grown.
baby bison?
We do.
Oh,
How many do you have?
wonderful.
Well, we just lost about 10 because we had a copper deficiency and didn't know what it was.
You had a
So,
what?
a copper deficiency
Oh, uh-huh.
in the soil. So kind of good to know the county extension team through Clemson and Columbia did an autopsy and said you have
Wow.
copper deficiency.
That's
So now
interesting.
we're doing all sorts of supplements. So we've got about 15.
Wow.
Down from 25, which is plenty.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here. What's your political cause, or you just generally?
I'm
Conservative.
just a Republican and I want to get involved in the community. So
Where do you vote?
where do I vote? Taylor's is my.
Okay. so
You know
you're
your precinct?
You're you are registered here.
Yes, sir.
Not
Oh,
in
oh,
West Virginia.
And not in
No.
West Virginia. So
I
you can't-
maintained my South Carolina residency.
Okay.
Good. We need your vote down here. So, we really.
So
do.
I'll use it.
Go ahead.
And yes, sir.
So, hello everyone. I'm Adam Matthew Steinberger, and
Oh,
I'm originally from Albany, New York.
Okay.
Another escapee.
I'm an
welcome.
escapee. That's right. I'm a
Well,
proud MAGA. I love Trump.
Welcome.
I love the Lord, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Amen. The Lord is Savior.
amen.
You know, I became a Messianic Jew in 2020.
Amen.
Before COVID hit, and I love the Lord. And I wrote a book, Regenerating Messiah.
Oh, look at you, young
It's
man.
A Jewish apologetics book, so people can meet Jesus
Wow.
from our Jewish community. And that's by my ministry, Humbleberger Ministries.
Okay.
So it's a 501c3 recognized by the IRS. All donations are tax deductible. Praise the Lord. And I also run a super PAC that I just spun up in last year called Messiah First for America PAC.
Amen.
MessiahFirst.org. This is humbleberger.org. Whole kind of the book is online, but the 501c3 can't be political, which is so obviously none of this is political in the book. It's all theological in nature. But Messiah First, the whole idea is engaging the public, just like I do street preaching and things like that. So for this, it's more about engaging with folks about Christian values. What does that mean? Helping people to understand what those are and who to vote for, right? So that that not just that what we believe as Christians, but also who in public policy believes those
That's right.
values and is going to legislate, is going to execute, is going to perform public policy in some capacity in a way that's Christian. This country, we live in a Christian country here in America. That's what our founding fathers believed in. Who our founding fathers believed in. That's what our government is built upon. It's the Ten Commandments. And so my idea is to, is to help people to learn about Jesus and promote his policies here in this country.
Where are you from? Where do you live?
I live in Travelers Rest.
Okay.
One of our
Oh.
New Yorkers that just moved here too messaged me. He's listening online, and he said that the Messianic community in New York is very active politically.
Wow,
that's good.
I didn't know that.
Good.
Wonderful.
Well, we'd like to hear more. Please leave your information. We'll talk
Yes.
after.
Sorry if I
Okay.
ran it for too long.
No. I
back.
think it's interesting.
Remember, he emailed.
Come back.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay.
And he called you, so we have his
Good. Okay. Perfect. Very good.
Yeah, I
Thank
just wanted to shout out for Frank Gunther's legislative committee.
Yes.
It's about to get real interesting.
Yeah, Liz, I think, is online, so I'm sure she's got Frank forcing him.
Yeah, just if you're interested in any kind of legislation, now's the time to get involved with that group.
Yeah, and what Scott's talking about is the legislative committee, which Frank chairs. What we have done, and certainly after Tuesday with the runoff elections, all focus, what we've been doing is focusing on the elections, getting the right people in there. And now we're going to move toward the legislative season. So, I mean, that's coming up, which also reminds me, we do have the training that is tomorrow. It's a full day of training. Hopefully folks are coming. If you haven't signed up, I haven't checked with the guys to see how many spaces they still had left. They can usually always squeeze somebody in. But if you want to go to greenvillegop.com/events, there's that training that it's listed on there, Liberty Activist Boot Camp.
Maybe full by now.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, they can always find another seat. But we obviously have to take good notes. I've taken the class multiple times before,
It's gonna be fun.
and it's going to be fun.
And
So,
then we have to be there by 8:30.
and I kind of forgot about that. So, I mean, because we've noticed it's been kind of full, so we kind of stopped pushing. But we're going to take what we've been doing on the campaigns and focusing on and trying to dial up what we do on the legislative stuff. So we've got our big items that we had the party or the executive committee kind of pass and kind of support. We'll add some other little things that, other bills because I think it's also, we got some big, audacious goals that are out there of things we want. And then it's good to see how something works through the system. So there'll be some individual bills and some things that we can add to it. But I mean, we need to follow up and get, citizens calling their legislators and doing the texting, the things that you see Ron Reddy and those guys doing with SC Doge, who knows what the ultimate goal, what they want, but we're going to.
We have a process where we look at, I have a process running right now that looks at all the bills every night, looks for any change. And if there's any change at all, I'll know about it. Then with that change, I can create a single file, zip it to anybody that's involved, it's trusted and within the legislative committee, and they can drop that in AI and just ask questions. And then you can look for yourself. So you're not having to read through all the bills to find where a pro-abort is adding into different bills, because it's not just one bill on abortion or that supports abortion or any form of it. Just as an example, it's spread all over the place, and that's their goal, is to sort of just shift it in, and then the strike and replace on bills and things that show up. Like I won't spend too much time on this, but I signed up for every alert I could get from their legislative bill track, like everything, and it was funny. I got this process running, and it went and got all the bills and put it in the database. And the next day it ran. So it ran like 5 PM or whatever. At 2 AM it ran again. 2 bills changed. I got no alert on the changes.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, wow, that's kind of crappy,
Their
right?
system either can't or won't do it.
And it's by design. And now there were simple changes. It was the only change. Well, there was one change that was a little bit more verbiage, but there was one change where a senator jumped on the bill, and so that was a change as well. So we can still see when senators or House members pull themselves off or add themselves off.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's even more important.
That's
than
more
get
important.
off.
You've got 4 senators supporting this bill,
and one senator dropped, that's the only change. They don't consider that a change to send to everybody.
Really?
But his program.
Oh, that's like a major change, because that tells me the other side is pressuring these guys to get off.
And
That's what they're doing.
You can say, why did you drop your support for
Right.
this? Well, I thought nobody knew that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and the other thing too is we're keeping that data. Okay, so if they shut us down, like I can't go log in and get this information, it would just cost, right now, it's free. But if they do that, there's another way to go about to get the data. It's like $60 a month or $100 a month or whatever. But anyway, I kind of dare them to do that, because that will lead to another bill that goes through and says, why are you keeping us from looking
Right.
at information?
Right.
So it's kind of like, I'm happy if they shut me down, because then I'll be pushing a whole nother angle on legislation.
Why are you shutting
We
us
need a
down?
plan
Yes.
For them to shut you down and have it my turn.
Yeah.
And I do it until they shut me down.
Right.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Right.
it needs to be easily portable.
Well,
But you hear what Mike Burkholz, I mean, that's what they're, that data should be available, and they try to, it's just why it costs us $2,500 to get the state voting data.
No, when I'm
Shit.
talking about shutting us down, because I could have, 100 processes running, each goes and gets part of a bill here, a bill there, it does it random times. I can make it so random, it looks like individuals are doing it.
Right.
But I don't want that. I run it at 2 a.m. I want them to see it. And what they're gonna do, if they shut us down, they'll add CAPTCHA. Okay, so programmatically, we won't be able to do that. And there's no way we can.
We don't have to tell
Well, no, but even if they did
That's
that,
okay.
if you
I don't
had
actually
a
dare them.
manual way to
Yeah.
kick off the program, he could go to the website, answer the
Yeah.
caption, and
There
then
you
hit
go.
button. and let
Yeah,
it stay.
So it
That
still
might
can be
work
done,
too.
yeah.
So we'll
But
see.
anyway, so that's the latest thing, and it was kind of cool because Austin, Frank, and I got together. You were invited, but I think we somehow goofed that up where you didn't see the invite. Anyway, long story short, we had this meeting, and it was just I dropped the file in there. We did it for the first time together, and it was insanely cool. So
It was very cool.
I mean, and
So
Frank
we geek out on accounting and we geek out on this stuff.
And you
But
could-
this
you
is
could
how
ask the
you win.
questions of this
This,
thing, say, which bills or so-and-so, or which bills reference gun control but don't propose a change? And you can say, which
Yeah.
ones reference this and propose changes? And it was just amazing how English statements, and it says,
Yeah.
it takes it about 30 seconds, and it says, here's the bills that reference this, and it's just amazing.
this is what Steve Bannon talks about is the pick and shovel work.
Yeah.
We can use technology to make the pick and shovel manual work more efficient and,
Yes.
and multiply
But you still have to
ourselves.
go read the bill.
But you got,
Open
you
the
still
bill,
got to go
search for the-
read the
turn
bill.
yourself and find it.
Right. But it's not just go on social media and make a post or whatnot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we'll talk, I can't wait till the
That's right.
runoff next week. We'll talk about some other
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So that'll be fun.
And we don't advertise it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, anything else?
Frank says thank you, he messaged.
Frank says thank you. He's out there. So, do we have is Greg Peck left already? So I can't use my normal joke. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion. All right. Second and third. I think it's unanimous. All right. Have a great weekend. Hope to see a lot of us at the training tomorrow, and we'll be back at it next week. So
Hey,
lots of fun.
Yeah.